Please welcome to the stage the very refined comedy stylings of Mr. James Harris.
Thanks, Paul, for the introduction there. Paul Solomon is known as the godfather of English comedy in Berlin. I arrived in Berlin 3 years before Paul and was doing English comedy here. This isn't the first time the Americans have turned up late to Berlin and tried to get all the credit. So anyway, yeah, and please give it up for my compatriot Caroline Clifford. Very wonderful to have you back with us. I was also in England for a month, and I read something in the paper there which really annoyed me. I read a comment by the Home Secretary of England, William Hague, who said, "The euro is like a house which is on fire and has no exits." And I read that and I thought, that's great. But you know what? When my neighbour's house is on fire, I don't just stand there and go, "Oh, excuse me, your house is on fire." And by the way, it's got no exit. So terrible, I'm going to bed now. I must put the kiddies and read the kiddies a story. Bye. Because also, right, I wouldn't say that. I would try and help my neighbour if their house was on fire. Because not just because it's the right thing to do, but because one day my neighbour's house will not be on fire. And he might be pretty pissed with the person who just stood there going, "Excuse me, your house is on fire." You know, and like the Germans and the French and the Greeks, they might come out one day and they go, "Oh look, it is the people who stood there and said our house had no exits." Well, actually we found a door. And actually their house, our house, the British house, the insular house might be at one point on fire as well. But do you think they're going to help? Oh look, the people who said our house is on fire and has no exits, their house is now on fire. Sadly, we must now go to bed as well. Good night, good night. So yeah, so I've been living in Berlin for absolutely ages. I think it's about 49 years now. And I started out like so many people here in this fair city teaching English. We got any English teachers in tonight? Fantastic. In fact, most of the audience. And I started out teaching English and I really hated it. And I remember one of the things about the only thing that made it entertaining was Germans would try and translate German directly into English. So they would have the Germans would come in with phrases like, "James, this is great, this lesson today, that was the hammer." Where was the hammer? There was no hammer. No, it was the hammer. It was the upper hammer. I don't want the middle hammer, obviously. No, it was the absolute hammer. Well, it's good to know that there was no doubt about it being a hammer. And the weirdest thing about it is, my favourite thing in the English teaching career was teaching German small talk. Teaching German small talk is like trying to teach elephants how to dance. It's going to make a lot of noise, whichever way you do it, it's not going to be very subtle. And I used to say, and I remember one time in one lesson I said to my class, "What is small talk? I have never seen people think so hard." It was like that statue, the thinker, you know, the only one. And after they talked about it for 2 hours. For 2 hours they put an analysis. There was flow charts all around the walls. There was Venn diagrams. There was a guy making a little PowerPoint presentation by the end, saying to all the other Germans in the room, "Yes, small talk, that is something very English. It is using casual language in a way designed to create a mood of wellness and relaxation. Suitable topics for small talk include the weather, music, house animals. Unsuitable topics for small talk are religion, the Third Reich, and marital difficulties." I bet Hitler was really bad at small talk. He just goes to him at a party and goes, "Hey Hitler, what's going on? I'm planning on killing everybody." So, "Oh, did you see that film? Did you see We Bought a Zoo?" The actress is Jewish. I'm not watching it. I was recently at a sex club. Sounds so innocent, doesn't it? Whoa, sex club. Oh, let's be in the club. But it wasn't. And I was just watching all these people go by, dressed up in various S&M gear, like corsets and leather harnesses and leather hats and whips and stuff. And I finally figured out why Hitler had his success. He was clearly a massive S&M fetishist. He was just a massive S&M fetishist, and that's how he sold it to the Germans. Because obviously Germans love walking around in leather by this. Hitler was just crazy about leather, he wanted all the leather. And he was talking to the German people, he said, Germans, Austrians, we will build 1,000-year Reich. And everyone was like, come on Hitler, nothing lasts for 1,000 years. And he was like, leather. These leather trousers have lasted for many years. And the Germans like, you mean we all get leather if we vote for you? It's like, yes, everyone gets leather. Everyone, leather for everyone. But you see, like all addicts, he went too far. He was crazy. He wanted all the leather. He wasn't just content with all the nice Bavarian leather. He wanted everybody else's leather as well. He wouldn't stop. He wanted Lederraum for the Germans. It was Lederraum. He wanted all the leather. And he told Goering, he said, Goering, go and invade Russia. And Goering came back and said, Hitler, we have invaded Russia. And Hitler said, okay, good. How much leather do we have? Oh, not very much. And Hitler went, invade everywhere else. So Goering went away. He said, Hitler, good news. Hitler said, there are no good Jews. Goering said, no, Hitler, good news. Okay, yes, good news. Just let me do this bit to end. Good news, we've invaded everywhere else. Hitler goes, okay, what is the bad news? Goering said, we are losing. And Hitler said, you need more leather. And Goering said, well, yes, there is one place we can find leather, Hitler. Spit it out, Goering. He said, well, there is a problem. It is in America. Where is it, Goering? He said, San Francisco. And Hitler said, Goering, why are we speaking English anyway? And Goering said, yes, die Amerikaner werden uns verstehen. And Hitler said, okay, lass uns das Witz ganz schnell zu Ende machen, weil wir keine Zeit mehr haben. Hier machen wir. Ich habe einen Plan, Goering, hat Hitler gesagt. Hitler said, wir haben einen Plan. Wir werden in Berlin eine riesige SMS-Szene aufbauen. Und die Menschen von San Francisco werden zu uns kommen. Wir werden strömen nach Berlin. Wir brauchen nur einen Namen für den Club. And at that moment, Goering took out a Kit Kat. That's my set. Thank you.
James Jimmy Harris. Give it up for James Jimmy Harris.